Hello everyone, I am Jadeley TEMPLADO, and I will be reading my assignment in Macroeconomics 122, assignment number 2, Supply and Demand Review. So number 1, define supply and demand and what is the law of supply and demand. Give example of demand and supply curve and demand and supply schedule. So supply refers to the quantity of goods or services that producers are willing and able to offer for sale at different prices during a specific period. It typically follows the law of supply, which states that as the price of goods rises, the quantity supplied will also rises, all else being equal. In demand, it is the quantity of goods or services that consumers are willing and able to purchase at different prices during a specific period. It follows the law of demand, which states that as the price of a good falls, the quantity demand increases, all else being equal. So the law of supply and demand is an economic principle that describes the relationship between supply and demand for a given product or services. It states that when the price of a product or service goes up, the quantity supplied by producers tends to increase, and the quantity demanded by consumers tends to decrease. So in law of supply, it is directly proportional to the price, while in the law of demand, it is inversely proportional to the price. So for um, for the example of demand and supply curve and demand and supply schedule, we have here the supply and demand schedule. So the price of widgets, we have $1, $2, $3, and $4 respectively, while the quantity demand, we have 100, 90, 70, and 40. For the quantity supply, we have 10, 40, 70, and 140. As you can see, in the price $3, we have the same quantity demand and quantity supply, which is 70. And this is called the equilibrium. In relation to the supply and demand curve, equilibrium is the point where quantity supply and quantity demand cross. So here on the price $1, we have 10. On the price $2, we have 40. On the price $3, we have 70. And in the price of $4, we have 140. Quantity supply. In quantity demand, on the price $1, we have quantity demanded 100, and in the price $2, we have quantity demand of 90, and in the price of $3, we have quantity demand of 70, and in the price of $4, we have the quantity demand of 40. So this supply and demand schedule depicts whether we have shortage, surplus, or equilibrium. So if the price was $4, then the quantity demand is lower than the equilibrium. But if we have $2, the quantity demand is higher than the equilibrium. In the quantity supply, in the quantity supply, if we have $4, then the quantity supply is higher than the equilibrium. But if we have $1, the quantity supply is lower than the equilibrium. So number 2, enumerate and explain in your own words the factors that affect supply and demand. So number 1 factor is cost of production. So the cost of producing a good or services, including factors like labor, materials, and technology, directly impact supply. Now, if production cost increases, suppliers may reduce the quantity they are willing to produce at a given price. Next is the technological advances. So advances in technology can increase supply by reducing production costs or increasing efficiency. Next is government policies and regulations. So government policies such as taxes, subsidies, and regulations can influence supply. The fourth one is weather and natural disasters. Weather conditions and natural disasters can disrupt supply chains and affect the availability of certain goods, especially sugars, vegetables, or any agricultural products. Last is the number of suppliers. So the number of producers in a market can affect supply. More suppliers can lead to an increase in the quantity of goods available, while a decrease in the number of suppliers can reduce supply. Now, let's go to the factors affecting demand. So first, we have consumer preferences. So changes in consumer preferences and taste can significantly impact demand. So if a product becomes fashionable or is perceived as healthier, demand may increase. Next, we have income levels. So the income of the consumers is a major determinant of demand. So as income rises, people tend to buy more goods and services, especially luxury items. Next, we have the price of related goods. So the prices of substitute and complementary goods can affect demand. For example, if the price of a coffee rises, demand for tea might increase. Conversely, if the prices of coffee machines falls, then it could boost the demand for coffee. Next, we have the population and demographics. So changes in the size and age distribution of a population can influence demand. An aging population may increase demand for healthcare services and retirement homes, for instance. The fifth one is advertising and marketing. So effective advertising and marketing campaigns can stimulate demand for a product. Then the sixth one is government policies. So government policies such as tax and subsidies can also influence demand. Next is consumer expectations. Like if consumers expect future price changes or income changes, it can affect current demand. And the last one is the cultural and social factors, in which cultural norms, traditions, and social trends can influence what people will buy. So the last question, give instances when will supply and demand shift to the left and shift to the right. So factors that shift supply to the left which is decrease of quantity supply. So first is the increase in production cost. So if the cost of production for a good or services rises, suppliers may reduce the quantity they are willing to produce at existing prices. Next is the natural disasters. So events like hurricanes, floods, or droughts can disrupt production and supply chains, causing a decrease in supply. Another one is government regulations. So stricter government regulation such as environmental standards and safety requirements can increase the cost of production and lead to a decrease in supply. And last one is the reduction of number of suppliers. That's what I've said earlier. If businesses exit a market or face significant barriers to entry, the number of suppliers may decrease, reducing overall supply. Now, how about the factors that shift supply to the right, which increase supply, quantity supply? So first we have technological advancements. Innovations and technological advancements can lead to increased efficiency and lower production cost. Next is decrease in production cost. So a reduction in production costs such as cheaper labor or improved manufacturing processes can lead to an increase in supply. Next is subsidies. Government subsidies to producers can lower their production costs, leading to an increase in supply. Last one is increased number of suppliers. So if new businesses enter a market or existing ones expand, the number of suppliers can increase, leading to a higher overall supply. The second to the last is factors that shift demand to the left, which decreases the demand. So first is change in consumer preferences. As what I've said earlier, a shift in a consumer preferences away from the product or services can decrease demand. Next is decrease in consumer income. So during economic downturns or income reductions, consumers may increase their spending, leading to an increase in demand for many goods and services. And lastly is price increases of complementary goods. So if the prices of complementary goods rise, it can reduce the demand for the main product. And for the last one, we have the factors that shift demand to the right, which increases quantity demand. So first is the consumer preferences. So it involves into two. No, pwede siya sa mo-decrease demand, pwede siya sa mo-increase demand. So a change in customer preferences that favors a product can increase demand. So it's whether they will favor or they will not. So increase in consumer income, which is rising incomes generally lead to an increase in demand for most goods and services, especially luxury items. The same as what I've said earlier. And the third one is price decreases of substitute goods. So if the prices of substitute goods fall, customers may switch to cheaper option, increasing demand for that product. And lastly, advertising and promotion. Just like from what I said in number 2, effective advertising and marketing campaigns can create awareness and desire for a product, leading to an increase in consumer demand. So that would be all for my answers. Thank you for watching. Once again, I am Jadeley Maurice Templado.